Hello and welcome to another episode of GCC, Gigsy Creator Central. I'm your host, Arvind, and unfortunately, my good for everything friend, please note I said good for everything, friend is not joining me today as he is tied up on another call. But today is going to be something that I have picked up along the way, and we have several eminent people with us today who can definitely add a lot of value into this conversation. And today we're going to be talking about one very simple thing. How can you start or grow your coaching business? Now, more specifically, I want to bring the conversation around the concept of online coaching. Of course, now that with most of us working from home, and this hybrid form of working, it's become pretty much a de facto expectation all over the world. I believe that now we have a lot more potential, a lot more borders have been erased that, we can go in and, for example, I have a career coach client who's born in Azerbaijan, is now living in Stockholm. I have another client who's based out of the US, and I have several people based out of different parts of India itself. In this next 55 minutes or so, I'm hoping to cover these four topics. First, I'm going to be running a little bit of a freewheeling discussion on what exactly coaching means. Then I'm going to be talking about the different areas where you can actually start coaching, and you'll be surprised at what's actually possible when it comes to coaching. Then I'm going to be talking about the types of experiences that you can deliver. There are predominantly two of them, but there is a third that will open up during the conversation as well. And finally, I'm going to walk you through step by step what are the things that you need to do to start your own coaching business on Gigsy. Now, let's start off with something which is quite straightforward, right? Whoopsie, terribly sorry. What's the keyword? Yes. All right, let's look at coaching, right? So there are many different definitions of coaching, and I know that this is a hotly contended topic, if I may say so, because there are different definitions that do pop up. But in their heart, they all come down to the same thing, right? It's about showing a demonstrable improvement between a baseline and the next level on your client, right? So now this could be in any field. It could be in which something that we'll unpack later. It could be at work, could be at home, could be in their personal lives, their social lives, whatever these things are. Now, the main contention that I spoke about is, what exactly is coaching? How is coaching different than mentoring, and how is mentoring different than training? And I'm going to spring this on Mr. Ranga if he's up to it. The reason being, he's been doing this for the longest time, and I'm very much in the hubris of my youth. I thought I knew a lot until I met him. And Mr. Ranga, would you be kind enough to share your perspectives? If you're not okay with that, that's not a problem.
No,
please, sir.
I'm okay.
I would love to hear that. What do you think? How would you define coaching, facilitation, mentoring, training, and how would you delineate between all of these?
Okay. It's tough for me to say it in a very short time.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you 6 minutes.
Because my mentoring workshop is a 3-day workshop.
Wow.
So I guess. So anyway, see, I think to give it in a very quick nutshell, training. See, when you talk about competency, competency is a combination of. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are.
Okay. So competency is a combination of 3 things: attitudes, knowledge, and skills. Right now, so when you talk about building knowledge, improving knowledge of someone, we normally talk about training, and that can be imparted one to many. Right? So you have a class of 40 people, and then I'm giving them a knowledge on, say, how to do stock trading. So I give them the concepts, I give them the principles, and so on and so forth. So knowledge transfer can be done through training, which is typically a one-to-many kind of a situation. But when it talks about skill building is more focused on atomic level. So coaching is primarily focused on a very small domain of a skill and then improving it. To give you an example, Sachin Tendulkar was getting out during a particular phase of his career in short mid-off. Okay, and every team knew exactly how to get him out, and they were getting him out. So he went to his coach Ashrekar, and Ashrekar showed him the videos and asked him a simple question: "What do you observe?" Sachin said, "I don't know what I observed." he pointed to the angle of the bat in which he is making the drive and says, if this angle of the bat can be reduced by at least 2 or 3 degrees, the ball will land on the ground and will never land into the hands of the fielder. Now, so Sachin went to the Mumbai ground and started practicing that shot without anybody. He just practiced that shot again and again and again, and he mastered it. And after that, he never got out in that side. Now, when you talk about coaching, coaching is first observing something very minute, very subtle, very small, atomic, and then trying to give a very meaningful input to correct it. So that is what coaching is. So your definition of improving performance, etc., comes in very, very handy there. So coaching is more atomic, whereas training is for knowledge building. Whereas counseling, if you see, it is more related to mindsets. It's more related to emotions. So counseling as a field is when somebody goes through an emotional problem, you solve that problem by counseling, right? Leading or guiding is another two words which are also used in the context of competency building, where you know that the other person is very motivated, self-motivated, and that person will go and work on by himself. All you have to do is just give him a direction. So you say, why don't you just go and read this book? The moment I say read this book, that fellow, you know that he'll go and read that book. So just give him a guide. I mean, just give him a guidance, or just lead him to a point. For example, Marshall Goldsmith's book on coaching, like what got you here won't get you there. Okay, suppose I mentioned that book here. Okay, what got you here won't get you there, and says Marshall Goldsmith is a fantastic book on executive coaching, and I just leave it. I've in a workshop of say 30 odd people. Some people won't even make a note of it. Some people will make a note of it. Some people will go buy the book but won't read it. Some people will buy the book, read the book, and then find it confusing and not use it. So there are different shades of people. But when the person is highly fired up and he's deeply self-motivated, that person can be just guided. You don't need to coach that person because that person will work on himself, right? So, so I've used different words here: guiding, leading, training. Now, training is a more a collaborative process where you involve the learner also, right? Whereas teaching is a one-way process. Teaching also assumes that the other person doesn't know, whereas the training doesn't assume that. So all these words put together, okay, one single umbrella is mentoring, where a mentor simply takes accountability and responsibility for the overall development of the other person. That's it. The complete accountability. So what happens is, if I say, just as an example, suppose I say I mentor Arvind. Now, Arvind has got a particular goal to be achieved, and I take accountability for that goal to be achieved by Arvind. Now, I use all the tools. There are times when Arvind needs to be nudged. There are times when Arvind needs to be guided. There are times when Arvind needs to be coached. There are times when Arvind needs to develop knowledge through training. I use all these tools put together, but I travel the distance with Arvind till he reaches that goal. So that becomes a very, very focused mentoring process. Mentoring is an overall umbrella, whereas coaching is a very atomic process. Okay, I've tried my best to restrict myself to 6 minutes.
Wow, thank you so much. And while you were speaking, Mr. Ranga, I have very, very gratefully taken a ton of notes as well. So, like I said, this mind map will be shared with each and every one of you. And there's definitely a lot of these words that are used in the industry, right? And it can get quite confusing. But thanks to you, Mr. Ranga, I think we have a very good example. Now, to contrast what Mr. Ranga has said, I have learned of this concept of online coaching. I did not know of the delineations, right? Of the different meanings of the different terms that come up, like let's say training and teaching and mentoring and coaching and guiding and all of these things. And as a result, I have been wasting a lot of time in spinning my wheels, right? Like they say, progress is a vector, right? So you need to have direction and you need to have intensity. And I have put in like a lot of effort, right? So that's like a lot of intensity. But if you don't know which way you need to go, it can be quite challenging. So like Mr. Ranga said, if I'd met him, like, let's say about 7 years ago, it would have been a lot more beneficial. But that's kind of what coaching is, right? And this is a quote that I've lifted off the internet. But essentially, it's about unlocking potential. And if you really want to understand how you can do this, I highly recommend that you check out Mr. Ranga's Gigsy page as well. But I really like what he says about mentoring, right? It's about all in all accountability. And there are different levels of how much of investment that you're willing to do in the other person's success. I'm not saying that low investment is bad and high investment is good. Please do note that, right? Like, for example, if I'm selling an online course, that's going to be like, essentially it's like a one-way thing. It's essentially teaching, right? And it's really difficult for me to do other things on a one-way video course. But then let's say if I take that online course and then I add it up with, let's say, a Telegram group, or if I add it to my email list, then suddenly I'm expanding the possibilities of what can actually be done. Throw in a live webinar, then it's just a whole lot more. If I'm doing for one-to-one, one-to-many, as you can see, there are other elements that do pop up. All right. So that's essentially what coaching is. Now, one thing that does stand out is the need for like a sort of a certification. There are bodies available within India as well as internationally that will certify you to be a coach. Now, it's not exactly like a regulated body, and of course whenever we are trying to become a coach of one way or of like one format or another, it's a matter of us learning the skills that are required, right? I mean, for example, active listening, right? That's one skill that's thrown about a lot, but unless we actually learn how to do that and we actually apply it, right, it's not something that we can internalize and we can call ourselves. But for the purposes of online coaching, I am not talking about the like you need to have like 3,000 hours of coaching or something like that. I don't know what the number is, but you have to put in that effort to get that certified coaching. I'm not talking about that. Here, each one of us are going to be looking at different kinds of coaching, and that's what I'm going to be talking about in this, right? So when I'm looking at coaching, right, you have like a ton of stuff, and the first one, and which is unfortunately also not very regulated, is that of life coaching, right? So it's where you focus on the kind of results that you can deliver on other people's personal lives. Now, some examples of this could be relationship coaching. I know a guy who believe it or not, he actually does like dating coaching, right? Like, how do you go and pick up women? How do you go and pick up men in bars? Such things do exist. Personally, I deliver career coaching, right? So like, how do you actually, build up the right mindset to be a good employee, right? I do stuff like that, but also other things like happiness coaching. I've seen that thrown about a lot, especially now that COVID's come in and people have been cooped up at home. There have been a number of different challenges that different people have been facing, and this life coaching where you help people lead a better life is really taking the mainstream. But I must warn you, because of the nature of this field where it's not regulated and anybody can literally just say like, hey, I am a life coach, it's a very, very polluted market. It's a very cluttered market where you have charlatans along with like full-fledged coaches, along with people who really know what they're talking about, coming out there and saying, you know what, they're planting their flag in the same space. So this is one way that you can look at it. Another thing, and this is something that I focus on, like two very niche aspects of this when I do my own coaching services. One is like, you can look at entrepreneurship. How do you start a business? Like this kind of a webinar session could very much be a part of marketing, or could be very much a part of entrepreneurship coaching, right? But there are a ton of these things. And I know for a fact, again, I'm going to pick on Mr. Ranga because I think he does all of these, if not most of these, right? And speaking with him is definitely a charm. So each one of you could pick up like, one aspect of a business, and you could look at that. The good news is that companies do spend a lot, right? But there is a reason why they spend as well. If you can deliver the results that they're seeking, that's when that's what the companies are paying for. They're not paying you for something like by the hour, right? Like, I mean, let's say that you want to go out and you're going to be selling your coaching thing. If you're going to be going out and saying that, hey, you know what, okay, I think for this person to have this change, you need to spend like about 3 hours in coaching, and that should be now spread out over 3 months, right? If you go out and say that, right? So then suddenly you say like, hey, I'm going to be charging X amount of money. Companies don't mind paying that, but if you don't deliver those results that you promise, you essentially will not be called back again, right? It's as simple as that. So whenever you are going to be promising a result, right, whether it is for an individual when it comes to life coaching, or when it comes to a business and the kind of results that you do deliver. I predominantly focus on sales writing, and I do a lot of marketing coaching as well, and as well as branding coaching, which is a subset of this. And when it comes to this, like, if I like the way I set up my coaching agreements with clients is like, you pay me 50% upfront and 50% after I deliver the specific result, based on numbers that we have defined for your business, right? So that's kind of how I've been operating, and that works. And there's a good reason for it, right? Companies do spend because they value the results that you can that you can deliver. And if you drill down and see why somebody would do something like this, it's because these companies are at a certain roadblock, right? They're facing something that's coming in their way, and you can go ahead and you can erase this or help them overcome this roadblock one way or another. Mr. Ranga, again, if you don't mind, I'm going to dig in. Would you like to share your views on life coaching and business coaching? Because I know you do a ton of work in this field.
I've been a kind of a life coach for quite some time. I just wanted to also tell you what is the kind of business which is there out there. I just wanted to share this with you. For professional reasons, of course, most of coaching work is confidential, so you really can't share specific details. Very recently, there is a multinational company where a very senior couple of vice presidents who could not see eye to eye, and there was some political games being played. Both of them were fantastically competent and they were adding great value to the company. It's a multi-billion-dollar company. The company had enough reasons to hold both of them in the company. They just didn't want to let go of any one of them. And each of them was kind of heading something like about 10,000 people across the globe. So 20,000 people were reporting into these two people. And I'm just giving you a context. Right, and but they both were kind of very negative, and as a result of which the teams were also kind of negative with each other. And this was kind of affecting the company. So the HR had only one choice, whether to let go of one of them or to do something else.
Okay.
This is when the managing director of the company reached out to me from US and said that, Ranga, can you do something else on this? Can you work with these two guys and coach these two guys to work together more effectively for the organization, letting go of their personal differences. Okay. Now, it's been a wonderful experience. I just wanted to let you know what it is in store. I think I'm going to be shameless about this, right? Typical executive coaching across the world is around $100 per hour. I'm talking about some numbers.
Okay.
Okay. But believe me, there are some coaches who can charge $10,000 per hour.
What?
Absolutely. Okay. In fact, I said, yes, we can work with these two guys. But before I commit to working with these two guys, I want a lot of information. And when I started digging the whole lot of information, the company was very open to sharing all the information with me. And I did work with these two vice presidents. My objective was that at least they should not disrupt in any way each other and work for the organization. But luckily, I think the coaching ended up both of them becoming absolutely great pals with each other.
Oh, wow. Okay. And how long did such a journey take?
It took this whole journey, I estimated it to be about 6 plus 6, 12 hours of interaction. 6 hours with one person, 6 hours with another person. Then I had a couple of hours together with each of them. So it's about totally 14 hours. And I obviously don't want to share what I charged them.
Of course.
And the company just didn't want, the company just didn't mind anything because before I committed to the assignment, they didn't ask me for a proposal. Okay, the reason is if these two guys stick on in the company, the value that they can bring to the company is huge. If they let go of one of the persons, the value is huge. Okay, so I'm saying even at say a reasonable rate of $500 per hour, there is enough scope in the market if you are damn good in your job.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Ranga, I do want to ask you a follow-up question.
Yeah.
So when we talk about business coaching or when we talk about life coaching, and many of us here, including myself, right, we're very new to this, right? So if we had to go around finding business, how would we go about doing that?
Yeah. Okay. I'll give a very specific answer to this. Many people take the route of getting accreditation. That is ICF, take a certificate from ICF and so on and so forth, right? And then publish yourself as a coach because you're an accredited certified coach. Then publish that and start seeking engagements. So many companies have something called as a concept of internal coaches, internal mentors. Okay, so what they do is they catch hold of trainers like us who develop the skill in mentors and coaches, and then those coaches are inside the company who coach their respective people. Okay. Well, the problem is, Arvind, in this, particularly take mentoring, for example. I would like to get mentored by somebody whom I trust.
True.
Now, I don't want to go just because somebody is certified. I don't want to go and share everything about me and expect that person to fix me because, firstly, that person just doesn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So trust is an extremely important factor. For example, I have had huge businesses in coaching. I've coached very senior level CEOs of different multinational companies. I don't hold a certificate.
Mm-hmm.
I am not certified in any way. I'm not accredited in any way at all. Right? Now it's word of mouth reference, and I take about 3 to 6 months to develop the trust between two of us,
Mm-hmm.
and then only the coaching or the mentoring exercise can actually start.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my view is if you really want to be a coach and you really love doing the job and you're good at it, I think you should go and build your network and build your relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so start building relationships in a very focused way with the right people in different multinational companies. Talk to them about what you can do and make sure that, you know.
Sir, you're on mute.
It's a long-drawn process, but it helps you. It gives you great business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, great.
So
this is quite
but I
useful.
think I don't think the conventional route of getting a certificate and publishing that certificate and going around shouting to everybody through sales effort that, look, I'm a coach, to me it just doesn't work, according to me.
And this is for coaching, right? But we have discussed of other things such as training as well as teaching as well. How about that? Would the business development process for that be the same?
Absolutely. It'll definitely work. No doubt about it. Like your branding, creating a name for yourself and then soliciting business. I think definitely it works. I am talking primarily about mentoring and coaching a lot. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I have taken down these notes as well. Ladies and gents, the reason I'm asking Mr. Ranga is that he's been doing this, I think possibly since, sir, since when?
It's about 22 years.
For a long time now. So therefore, it becomes a very, very different thing. All right. Something that's going to be relevant for most of us here and for you who's watching this video at any time in the future. These are also other opportunities that people have made a massive living out of on the internet. You can talk about health or wellness coaching. You can talk about how to lose weight, how to do intermittent fasting. You can talk about specific skills. Like I see Tony here, so he could probably talk about guitars and how to grow a wonderful beard, right? We could talk about photography. One of my friends, I believe he focuses specifically on bird photography, right? He runs a website called Bird Photography Simplified or something. Then there is social media coaching, where you can teach people how to use like new platforms, new tools. Performance coaching. Now, this could be, again, it could be something very similar to the lines of the executive coaching thing that Mr. Ranga was talking about. But when it comes to, it could be performance in any field, like you could say in sports, or as Mr. Yogeshwaran is there, like, how do you break it? How do you break into the voiceover industry, right? I believe he has a course on how to sound really good on audio. There is spiritual coaching as well. And Mr. Anand, I think he had joined us last week. I'm not sure if he's here right now. He's also running, some like a institute for coaching and for audio and sound and stuff like that as well. Spiritual coaching, there's definitely a lot of this. You can definitely do stuff like yoga and all of that. But then, what if you want to focus on the Vedas and the Puranas? I think that's Vedanta is something that Mr. Ranga is focusing on again. I know another friend who essentially just focuses on meditation, right? And like guided meditations and stuff like that. There's another person who just talks about biohacking, right? Like, how do you actually eat the right kind of foods? What are the additional supplements that you can take so that you can guide your body in a certain way? And in certain parts of the United States of America, legalization of cannabis has led to a whole host of industries that are coming up as well. Financial coaching. One of our co-founders, Samir, he's a personal finance whiz, and he does some of that as well. I think Mr. Ranga does that as well. I think Mr. Ranga actually does financial coaching for families and entrepreneurs as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You should totally. Sir, are you going to be putting out a course on these? Because I'd love to buy them.
I am
and
actually,
use them.
yes. Right now, I'm silently preparing a lot of courses.
All right.
I was waiting for my branding to be completed by Mr. Arvind, and now that he has done that, I can proceed.
All right. So, okay, let's just take a very, very quick break. And in the chat, please type out the kind of the kind of creation that you guys actually are looking for, right? Then we can figure out what kind of coaching is actually possible in each of those fields. So for example, I know Tony's into music, so if you're going to be looking at coaching, right, so getting coached by Tony Das from off, God, he has like a laundry list of achievements. So, but let's say the Tony Das, right? So if you had to have that happen, right? So maybe coaching on how to play the guitar, maybe that's something. From Mr. Yogeshwaran, it could be like maybe one-on-one coaching on launching your own voiceover business, right? So that's a possibility. From Garima, it could be how to make papercraft jewelry. I might be murdering what you do, Garima, but I'm terribly sorry, right? But huh?
I'm a life coach.
Life coach as well, yes indeed. So you see for the four of us who are here, right, and the five of us, you can already see that there are distinct possibilities that can come up. Personally for me, I do coaching in terms of like I've built out this framework on careers, and like how you can approach your career and how to level up. It's again fully based on video game wisdom and like the monomyth by Joseph Campbell. So I use that framework when it comes to coaching as well. So you could coach for a specific skill, you could coach for a set of skills, you could train people depending upon what is the main focus of your entire business. You can always come up with a coaching business to go around that. I want to now briefly touch upon the types of coaching that's actually possible, right? Two main things: private or one-on-one, and the other one is group, where it's one-to-many. Now, of course, there could be situations where you will need to build out custom programs, like Mr. Ranga was saying in his thing. You could have like one-on-one in the beginning, and then at the end of the journey, maybe you have everybody together. The dating coaching thing that I was talking about by the pickup artists, it was actually group coaching. I do a lot of career coaching in groups as well. I do like 2 webinars in a month, and I charge people like 15 grand for a quarter just to attend these webinars, and then they can do stuff like this. The thing about one-on-one is you're going to be serving somebody individually, right? So they have a specific problem, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to solve that for them, right? It's much more easier to start because you don't have to do any prep work for it in advance. Whereas in the group, right, you can think of it as almost as if you're conducting a workshop. So when I'm saying coaching, again, I just want to reiterate, I'm going back on record and saying that it's not just coaching. I'm talking about mentoring. I'm talking about teaching people how they can improve their current skill level, going from where they are to go up to a higher level of performance, right? So this is there. And of course, private coaching, always there's a lot more money. We just typed out some numbers as well for executive coaching that's possible, from $100 an hour to all the way up to $10,000 an hour. The way I have found out, and again, I would love your inputs on this, Mr. Ranga. The way I found out is, especially when you're trying to go into individuals, right? So you want to give them a number of different options, right? So you want to give them different kinds of value, and then you'll have to price that value accordingly, right? So whenever you make your conversation about value, what is it worth for them, right? Then suddenly you can start charging according to that. So there will be times, and this is something that I have seen in companies when I'm going to be going for training and all that. They're like, hey, you have to get impaneled with us as a vendor, and everybody else is offering at this rate, so why should I pay you this much more? You should always have an answer ready for that, right? What is that extra value that you're bringing in? Are you bringing in gamification? Are you bringing in way more engagements, way more entertainment, way more fun experiences? Do you have a much higher rating when it comes to post session rating, sort of a thing, right? So you'll need to, if you're going to be charging a premium, you need to know why you're going to be charging a premium. Now, of course, from a marketing perspective, I know how to do that. From my own career coaching thing, I know how to do that. For you, if you want to figure out how to do that, there is, it's again a step of the Passion to Profit Bootcamp, right? It's one of the first emails that you would have received. And now let's dig in a little bit more into how you can actually start, doing all of this.
One small
yes,
input. Group coaching is an oxymoron. Actually, coaching itself means personal one-on-one.
Okay.
It's very difficult to do group coaching, whereas you can actually do group training. Okay. Coaching means it's very specific to that person in terms of where that person is making a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to be there. You need to be there with the person, right?
Okay.
to know exactly where the person is making a mistake. Right?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Like someone says, I'm very bad in time management. So you can direct him to a book, or you can conduct a training program on time management. But to know exactly where that person is making a mistake, then you need to spend time with that person and then give atomic inputs.
To tie this back to common parlance, it reminds, is this analogy accurate? Like coaching is more of a surgical strike, whereas group trading is like carpet bombing the whole thing. I know it's a very violent metaphor, but I think it's yeah. I think that
sure.
metaphor works.
It's a very, I can add a word to it. It's a very individualized surgical strike.
Okay. You know what? I'm actually going to add this as well.
Yeah.
Coaching. Where's that? There we have it on the top.
Can I take an example?
Sure, please.
When you're handling a child at home who is just learning to draw, you normally tell the child to shade inside a circle or a square, and the child shades all over the place. And typically what a parent does is parent takes the pencil and then shows the child how to shade inside, and then gives the pencil back to the child still shades outside, right? Now, typically a parent gives a feedback saying that, no, you're drawing outside, you should draw inside. Now, what is missing here is there's a lot of feedback, all that is happening, but there's no coaching happening. Because coaching calls for minute observation. Maybe the child is not holding the pencil in the correct place. That's why it's losing the control. Okay, if you hold the pencil a little away from the tip, you will lose control. If you hold it closer to the tip, you will have the control. So making minute observations as to not what is the mistake, why is that mistake coming? That's the difference between a coach and a trainer. Okay, you need to not just know what is the mistake, you need to know why that mistake is coming and fix that.
Why it's happening. I'm just typing this out. It's
Yeah.
all pure gold. All right, great. All right, so far, we are about 35 minutes into the session. The four of you who are there, do you have any particular questions on this before I move on to the next slide? So Yogeshwaran, you're still on mute. I've requested you should have a pop-up to unmute yourself.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
All right. Okay, hi to everybody there. Yogesh. One thing I'd just like to know is, apart from we ourselves getting onto the marketing division of explaining our courses through Facebook or Twitter or any other media, in what way Gigsy is going to help us to market our course exclusively from your platform to your network, to your audience?
Okay.
I just have one question on this.
All right.
How is Gigsy supporting our information to your people? As people are scattered all over, and Gigsy has the potential of audiences. Yeah. So, what strategies that you develop are do you have any discounted versions of selling our courses, or do you have any kinds of slash down or a coupon code or something like that, or you market in a different way which we're not able to see there?
Right. Okay, I really want to address this. It's a very good question. And if I have understood you correctly, your question is, what does Gigsy do to help me sell more courses? Yeah.
Right.
All right. So there are a couple of things that we are working on, like some of the product features that you just mentioned, such as coupon codes and adjusting discounts. These are all in the roadmap for launching on the Gigsy platform. Now, Gigsy as such is a platform that's designed to help you go ahead and sell to your existing audience, right? And if you don't have an audience, we do have coaching programs that will, we have training videos that will help you kind of go ahead and build that audience, right? If you do not have an existing audience and if you wish to tap into Gigsy's audience per se, there are certain curated posts that we do put out. We do email to all of our users, the people who are not creators on the platform, saying that, hey, we have, you should go check out this person's thing. That usually happens like about once a month, and it's based on editorial discretion. Apart from that, if you are consciously seeking a way to support and, to drive up the sales of your own course, there are other things that we can do. But that's going to be a discussion that we will need to have offline. But the short answer is we do not consciously or aggressively, rather, I think that's the right term, market any one creator's course. What we do send out is like, hey, we put one creator in a spotlight. That's one thing that we do. Another thing that we do is like, these are the new creators that have come onto the platform. That's a second thing. The ideal way for you to approach Gigsy is to think of Gigsy as a set of tools that you have, which will help you monetize your existing audience. So you have your knowledge and your expertise. You're going to put that, and you're going to package that in different ways that you can sell using the Gigsy platform. You can set up your subscriptions, your products, your video courses, and all of that. And once you have it ready, once you have that link, then you will need to go ahead and promote this to your own networks. The easiest way that I know of you to go about doing that is through partnerships. And that's something that is going to be coming up as a part of the next section. Does that help, Mr. Yogeshwaran?
Yeah, I was not asking about my particular course.
Mm-hmm.
The entire course segments which are there, you have different kinds of partners, coaches, you have a set of people inside your network. Like I'm just one among the entire people. This question is only for me.
Okay.
My question is, what is Gigsy's part to support us as we are newcomers inside? Because we have a cloud, we have a market, and through my network, I'm trying to promote your platform as well, which I'm benefited.
Mm-hmm.
And slowly this goes along. So in what way we have in partnership with you, so you think that, yes, like Garima has some origami corruption and Amritsar has something like that. But like everybody has their own specifications and details shared with Gigsy audiences, which we make use of your platform to sell our courses. Which is something very great. That's interesting. Like I already told you when I had been initially having conversation with Vikram, I said I'm a part of Udemy also. So I would see a difference of their kind of strategies with your strategies. So that is what I am trying to ask you. Like your platform, there are other platforms as well.
True.
Do you have any uniqueness of Gigsy to help us all inside your domain so that our courses are even more established in a more brighter way?
Absolutely. This could be a very long answer, but I'm going to give you the short version before I move on to this. There are definitely platforms such as, let's say, Teachable, such as Udemy, such as Skillshare, such as Domestika. There are a ton of these things which are an entire marketplace where your course can be discovered. Right? They have the platform itself owns a massive source of traffic, right? A massive source of inbuilt people where, you could essentially be discovered by, right? By this entire audience. Correspondingly, what they also do is like for example, Udemy, right? If you do opt into their partner program, you lose up to, I think, 60% commission, sorry, 90% commissions. Is it? 50% commissions on the platform itself. So you put up your course there, and then let's say I think right now it's priced at 4,000 rupees. If you were to sell that, then you would be, for every sale that you get only 2,000 bucks, right? Whereas on Gigsy, we're starting it off with a 5% commission. That's the first one. Second thing is there are no we have very consciously chosen not to focus on the getting more and more people to find creators here, because that's not what we're focusing on. We're focusing on completely equipping creators to monetize their existing audience. And the third thing is, and this is what I wanted to tell you as well, if you are seeking specific support in terms of increasing your audience so that you can sell more of courses of yours, that's going to be a part of Gigsy Premium. That's something that you can see on our pricing page as well. And if that is a service that you are interested in, I'll definitely ask one of my friends to get in touch with you, and they'll be the right people to help you get started on that. But yes, we are not a platform like Udemy. We're not a platform like Domestika or Skillshare, where it's a marketplace and you're competing with like 1,500 people who are selling the same thing. It's not that. What it is a set of tools, a platform. Think of it as a business in a box that you can use to start monetizing your existing audience. All right.
Okay.
I hope that helps. All right. Moving on, and this is going to be the last bit that I'm going to be speaking about. It's about how do you actually start building this coaching business of your own on Gigsy, right? The first thing is to be going through the first video that you would actually get, which is the Passion to Profit Bootcamp. It's a 30-step process, and I cannot possibly stress on that enough. That's what's going to be helping. Some of the key steps that you will be facing are find a niche, right? So you need to figure out what is it that you actually stand for. And this is a very, very important concept that also appears in this very, very famous book. It's called the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. And the idea is that you want to figure out exactly where you stand. And it's really, really good for you to define your own category, right? Like you don't want to be just another life coach, right? You probably want to be a life coach for millennials. Well, maybe even that's like too broad. There's a lot of competition. If you have to find another thing, maybe you can say life coach for millennials who are working in IT, let's say, right? So you're really, really trying to niche down on that particular thing, and you want to go ahead and focus on your audience. A good rule of thumb that you can look at is to fill out this statement, right? I help blank, which is your custom audience, with blank. That's the problem. And give them blank. The third blank is the result, right? The first one is your audience. Oops. The second one is the problem, and the third one is the result, right? You really want to figure out what is the one thing that you can give that nobody else can, right? It could be your own unique perspective on these things. You could be like, your own experience that you've had. Maybe Tony, for example, right? He's played with many, many famous big name bands, right? So maybe he can give examples and stories from that side. Gariba, perhaps you could talk about, how do you handle, certain problems that people would get only by being a mom, right? Because I know this because of, the frequent name changes that you do have to do. So that does pop up. So think about what is that unique angle that you do have that you can use to create this unique perspective. And then, believe me, you want to start promoting yourself before you actually even have the products ready, right? Some high connect ways, right? Like our video, right? So you could also look at audio as well. Podcasts are a great option. Webinars like this can really help. Going live is also a great option.
I would like to add one thing.
Yes, please.
Because see, I'm a life coach, and where I use switch words and vibrations, I work with all those terms. People don't understand that easily. And now I'm just coming up with a combination of paper jewelry. This is made up of paper, newspapers.
Wow. Okay.
Made. And I'm making coasters out of it on which you can charge your water and drink, which is going to help you increase your vibrations.
Okay.
So everyone doesn't understand that. Even if I put it on advertisement, they will not understand what it is. So I will have to explain them one-on-one. And those who know like what kind of work I am doing, so by it's through word of mouth, I'm sorry. They come to know and then they come to me. So this is the way I follow, because I really don't know how to put this into a workshop. I don't know how to put this into an advertisement. I'm struggling here. So
we should definitely brainstorm, but let's say some ways that could be, right? Maybe you focus on, let's go back to this. Okay. This particular thing.
Arvind, sorry for interrupting. I think she's got a very, very valid point and valid question. With her permission, can I share a suggestion to her, please?
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I think it's important you write a book. That's a very powerful way of communicating to the world as to what is a concept that you're actually talking about. Classic example is Rhonda Byrne's book, The Secret. She just took one concept from our Upanishad. That's it. And she made billions of dollars out of it. Okay. Whereas our entire Vedas is free.
That's true. Actually, I'm working on that.
Right. So I think, but she knew exactly how to monetize that, right? Yeah. So I think frankly, I would very strongly recommend that you write a book on it and give a great visibility launch for the book. And then through that book, and then you get people to write articles around the book, give good reviews about it, write blogs about it. And that's it. You're done.
Okay.
The message would have gone to the field.
Fine. I'll work on this.
Okay. That's
awesome.
One. And second is, in addition to the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing, I would also suggest that Al Rai's book, Positioning. It's very, very important book. Okay. So it's a very beautiful book. I think this book combined with that 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing is a very beautiful combination.
Very, very powerful books.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ranga. I hope that helps, Garima. And again, you can obviously stalk Mr. Ranga on gigsy.in/Ranga, if I'm not mistaken. So go ahead and check that out. So partnerships was...
on the group also, right?
Yes, he's there.
I keep disturbing him often.
That's okay. I'm always ready to help this community. So I think frankly, with sorry, I make a sound a little harsh and emotional here. With hardly 50% and less competence, the world has by sheer branding got more leverage out of what they're capable of.
Absolutely.
So I am all set to make sure that every Indian goes on the global stage and is far higher than everybody else.
Awesome.
Where do you live?
I live in Jayanagar 4th T block, Bangalore.
Bangalore only, fine. Then we can meet someday, no worries.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. One interesting thing.
And people are in Bangalore, is it? All of you from Bangalore?
I am. Yes, I'm actually in Rajaji Nagar at the moment.
I've been in Bangalore for a long time.
Yeah.
In fact, if you ask me why I did not go to Teachable or go to Udemy, or why did I come to Gigsy? Simply because it's Indian. It's ours.
That's Gigsy was new to me. I was just surfing for a platform which is Indian. And I was not comfortable with Teachable or Skillshare, whatever it is. But suddenly somewhere it just popped in for me, and I found the platform so easy, so user friendly. And I just bumped into it.
Awesome.
That's
happy to hear that.
I'm happy about it. I'm just 27 days old, young. That's all.
All right.
I came very good from you.
Yes, indeed.
I think you people are there for a long time, no?
So Ranga has been with us for some time, yes. All right, coming back to partnerships, like Mr. Ranga was saying, if you can get your audience, your supporters, your well-wishers to start talking about your product before it's live, it's already going to be giving you a lot of a much-needed boost and credibility and authority that you can actually use to start selling. Then we go through the process of creating your product, right? There are many different ways that you can look at. You can start with your course, you can start with the format in mind. You can start with the results that you want in mind, and then use the content that you have created in these aspects, right? You can use them to funnel, to channel ideas, to channel concept, to channel questions that you get into creating your final product. And then comes the difficult part, which is to start selling. Now, personally, I've had a lot of difficulty that's been brought up to me when people try to start selling. And I faced this in the beginning as well, right? It's like, yuck, like it's sleazy. Why would I want to sell, right? But there are a number of different reasons. And I believe sometimes it can be attributed to the fact, at least for me, right? To our relationship with money, right? Sometimes we really like in my home, we don't even talk about money. I still don't know how much money my dad made when he was working, right? And money is such a taboo topic that our relationship with it actually gets very, very skewed. And as a result, we develop all sorts of mental blocks that need to be overcome. Well, a couple of things that have really helped overcome that is just, like you have to believe in the product that you're using, right? Dog fooding, right? You have to use that product. You have to drink that Kool-Aid. Only then that's when you start believing in your product. So that's why, all the career coaching and then the video courses that I have are fully based on stuff from my own personal experience. That being said, when it comes to selling, there are a couple of things that you can do to help. Having an elevator pitch really helps. Very short, succinct statement of what do you do and why it matters. Delivery of this elevator pitch, whether it's on video, whether it's in person, it really helps. And remember, you always need to be energetic. You need to be excited. You need to be enthusiastic about selling this. I highly recommend that you check out this one. Oh my goodness, this one YouTube channel called Valuetainment. Valuetainment. It's run by this guy called Patrick Bet-David, right? And you should see the way he delivers. And I really think that that's like a very stellar example for us to emulate when it comes to delivery in these cases. He talks about his own experience, and in case if you're just starting out in your field, you might need to do free work to get this, right? I've had the benefit of doing, I think I must have done so many free projects just to get that experience, to hone my own craft so that I can deliver results. Also, don't get demoralized with a no. Sometimes people just have like a ton of other stuff going on, and like, life gets in the way. So you really don't want to take that to heart. And finally, when you are going to be pitching, I recommend that you repeat this again and again and again. There's a very, very nice anecdote about a class teacher who split his class into two groups. One group was asked to make one perfect pot. The second group was asked to make as many pots as possible. At the end of the story, what happened was, although most people were expecting that one perfect pot to be rated much higher, because of the sheer practice that this other team got by repeating this process, by doing it again and again and again, the inherent delta in growth, right? The way they improved became so much better. The quality of pots also improved. So practice, right? Putting in your reps really, really helps. And you obviously, when do you actually, once you have this pitch, once you have all of these things ready, when do you go start selling, right? Well, you have to practice this as well. You have to practice, there's a difference between a hard sell, here's my product, buy this now, right? Versus logically and emotionally tying in a situation that you're in with the sale itself. You have to kind of just slide into the sale. For this, I would also recommend a book called Spin Selling and The Challenger Sale. These are two great books that can really help you kind of learn different sales techniques if you haven't learned so well at all. And of course, you already built out your audience doing what you do, right? So then using those, selling to them is a very, very useful and a powerful way as well. And of course, if you haven't done so yet, I highly recommend Toastmasters. It's a great way for you to practice in-person selling or platform selling, where you're on a platform, on a stage, you're trying to sell to a number of different people. And once again, partnerships. If you don't have the right sales ability, and I do this myself, right? I'm okay at selling, but there are other people who are better. So I've actually partnered with others to go ahead and sell my course in exchange for a commission, right? So that way I don't have to break my head. That guy, he runs his ads, he finds his networks, and then in the end, he takes like a X percentage cut from the course, depending upon how well you can negotiate and how much you trust that person. You can have your own commissions and this thing set up.
Yeah, Arvind, I want to add something here.
Yes,
in Indian culture, particularly in Indian culture, I'm a great fan of Indian culture, but still there are some issues we need to look at. Money, sex, and sales are taboos.
I'm definitely adding this.
Okay, and because of this, what happens is we never have a positive attitude towards it. In fact, when someone says, "Ranga, do you sell?" I say, "No, I have better things to do." So this mindset is got from a very young age that people who sell are people who tell lies and all kinds of nonsense. So I think before we talk about sales, we just need to handle our mindsets. Okay. So for those of you who are interested, maybe I can send a link. There was a podcast, a radio show, where somebody interviewed me on what are the mindsets with respect to money, particularly in India, more particularly in South India. Mm-hmm. So I had given a 1-hour podcast on that, only on mindsets. Wow. So something like this. So maybe I can just send the link in the group itself.
Yes, please.
And then, we can do. So please work on mindsets on sales. That's very important. Mm-hmm. On a lighter note, a Gujarati was asked, what's the difference between, no offense meant, please. Sorry, if there is any Gujarati in this group. A Gujarati was asked, what's the difference between communication and selling? He asked in return, what is communication?
I understand. Anyway, thank you for sharing that, Mr. Ranga. Great. Right. So as we do move forward, it is very, very imperative for us to understand we will meet all kinds of people and all sorts of different perspectives. And no matter where we are, and there's always room for improvement, right? So that's what I mean by leveling up. And, being a coach yourself, when you're teaching, you're also learning. And other times, getting a coach for yourself, right? Like, again, dog fooding. If you want to get better at what you do, why not get yourself a coach? It's as simple as that, right? So that's a great way of looking at it. Certifications are one way to look at things as well, if you think that works for you. Mr. Ranga definitely has an opinion on that. But if you want to go ahead and explore, that's another thing that you can look at. There are a whole host of number of books that you can read. I'm not going to read out each one of them, but they will be a part of the what do I say? There's this mind map that will be shared with you. One of my favorite books is, where's that? Vision boarding, right? It's a concept where you imagine, okay, and again, I'm paraphrasing this. I might be butchering this really horribly, but the point is this: I have a vision for my certain, I have a certain vision for my life. I've designed what nirvana looks like for me, right? I know what I want to be doing, the kind of work I want to be doing, the kind of business that I want to have, the kind of revenue that I want coming in, all of that stuff. I have it all pinned out, and I have it on a Trello board for myself. And I look at it every day, reminding myself like, hey, this is the kind of stuff that I want to get to. This is the kind of results that I want to have. This is the direction that I want to go in. And something that I actually learned from this book. So I highly recommend that you check this out. All of these will be available as a part of the emails as well, along with a whole host of notes that we have got from Mr. Ranga. So with that, I'm very, very happy to say that I have reached the end of the prepared presentation. So if you have any questions, please do let me know. And again, I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude and thanks to Mr. Ranga for pitching in during this session, because look, the stuff that I'm talking about, he's probably been doing, he's been doing this for like 20 plus years, right? And it really, really helps to learn from somebody who's been there, who's done it all. And thank you for that, Mr. Ranga.
There are 3 books which are, I didn't see at least in the list. One is What Got You Here Won't Get You There by Marshall Goldsmith. Second book is, The Art of Clear Thinking. The Art of Clear Thinking. Third book is Unthink. Unthink. Now you can figure out they're very popular titles. So don't ask me for the author name. The author database has got crushed in my mind. So
it's all right. We can Google for it. We can find it on Amazon.
The Art of Clear Thinking and Unthink, both are fantastic books which can actually really disturb you in terms of what kind of junk we have gathered in our own heads. So,
interesting. Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for this. And Garima, Tony, do you have any questions? Fortunately, Mr. Yogeshwaran's left.
No.
No? All right.
Thank
Tony,
you.
what about you?
I would like to take a leave now.
All right, fine.
You.
Well, I'm going to stop recording now. So
thank you so much. Wonderful.
Thank you, one and all,
Thanks
for